Hello.
Hello, dear partner of Art of Peace Wellness. How are you this evening?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Thank you so much for agreeing to participate in our mental wellness interview with women of color, talking about wellness, mental health, and the church community and how it all comes together or doesn't come together for parents, healers, helpers, and heroes and chocolate women. So
Yes.
you are being recorded right now. Don't let that scare you or make you act any different than you normally would. And if you say anything that you don't want on the tape, we can go back and just edit that part out. So don't worry about that at all. You would just let me know, and I would just go back and find out where the counter is, and we can have our tech person, you know who that is, take care of that.
Yes. Absolutely.
Well, the reason that I wanted to do this is because you're the first that has agreed to do so, and that I've actually gotten on here to do it with. Um, I know, me being a woman of color, I know many women of color in our community that are either have someone in their family who is has a mental health condition, or they themselves have suffered from anxiety or depression at some point. Everybody in the world will at some point. We all get a little down and blue for whatever reason. But I kind of wanted to hone in on the African American community and see how we can kind of join what the church is offering and the faith community with what may be needed, and I can help to be a bridge. So this is just one of many conversations that I'm wanting to have with a few representatives of our community to start that process. So
Wonderful.
at this point, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So the first question I want to ask you is, what does the word wellness mean to you?
Wellness means to me um, being okay.
Hmm.
Um, Mind, body, and spirit. Um, People will ask me all the time, how I'm doing, and I usually respond with, I'm doing well. And I always feel that that's better than saying I'm good or I'm okay. Um, for me to say that I'm well means that I'm well all over.
Hmm. And then
So wellness,
I
yeah,
guess you're
embodies
calling it to
all of that.
yourself. Yeah, you're calling it to yourself. I teach my clients to actually say I am well, because it is you're speaking that even if you may not be healed in that moment, that it's coming to you, that you're in a process of it. So
I
I
agree.
love that response. Absolutely, it's a beautiful response and a beautiful way to look at that. And then
Thank
so
you.
often I feel like people, when they say, "Are you okay?" they don't really, they're not really asking. They want the surface stuff. So
Exactly.
you giving them that well gives them a little more even, and you're still being authentically you. So I love that. That's wonderful. Okay.
Thank you.
The next question is, do you consider yourself to be a healer, a helper, or a hero, or all three, or none?
A healer, a helper, or a healer?
Or hero?
A hero. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry, I didn't hear that last part. I consider myself to be a helper.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Oftentimes, people will tell me that I have help them to heal.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that we all have the power to heal ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's reaching out to someone for help or praying to a higher power. I do believe that we all have the power to heal ourselves, but we all need a little help to get there. And I feel that I'm that bridge
Mm-hmm.
that helps people get from where they are to the next phase, whatever phase that may be, to help them get out of whatever darkness that they may find themselves in to reach towards the light.
Mm-hmm.
So I consider myself definitely to be a helper.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and elevate you, because if you are a helper and you help people to heal, then you are wielding the power of love and light at all times, which makes you somebody's hero. I know for sure.
I love that.
So I'm going to say that you are all three.
All three.
And
Okay.
now that we've kind of
I'll
warmed
receive
up,
that.
yeah, we've kind of warmed up. Please receive it because I meant it from my heart sincerely. And we're warming up now. So now I'm going to have you state your name, how I should refer to you for the duration of our interview, and
Okay.
that's how you shall be known.
Okay. My name is Barry, Barri, and you can refer to me as Barry for the duration of the interview.
All right, thank you, Miss Berry. Um, what what is do you have a I know you're currently working, but tell me some of the positions you've held in the past and what you're currently doing.
Sure. In the past, I've been a social worker. I have assisted the homeless with finding homes. I've assisted formerly homeless veterans with finding jobs and employment. Currently, oh, and I've also been in human resources in the past, and currently I am working in human resources.
Okay. Do you have any people that are supervised by you?
I do. I supervise a team of five employees, and there are three women and two men.
Okay. What would you say are your strengths?
Oh, goodness. That's a good question. I would have to say my first strength would probably be my flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to go with the flow, and changes in the program or the day or things like that, they don't um, upset me.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of tend to go with the flow and roll with the punches. There are going to be changes. There's going to be people out sick.
Mm-hmm.
There is going to be some kind of software that may not be working properly, but you still have to get the work done and do what you have to do. So as far as in my professional life and in my personal life, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like my flexibility is probably my biggest strength.
Fluid like
Um,
water. Yeah, you're moving.
yes, yes,
You're able to adapt.
absolutely.
Who are your supports?
So, um,
You don't have to name people. You can just say friends or family or,
my
however.
friends,
Hmm.
yes, my friends are definitely my largest support.
And would you say you have
Um,
at least five good ones of those, a handful?
absolutely, absolutely. And about five is it. Um, I try not to have a huge circle.
Hmm.
Um, I know a lot of people, but there aren't a lot of people that I would necessarily say that um, I can count on or depend on.
Hmm.
So I would definitely say a good five. Um, but my husband is definitely my greatest support system.
Wonderful. Yeah, they say your tribe directs your vibe, so it's good to have that good handful of supporters. And there definitely is a difference between acquaintances and friends. And
Yes.
most folks use that word friend really lightly, but it does not appear that you are one of those people.
Hmm. I
Okay.
agree.
What would you say are some of the emotional and or mental challenges being a woman of color in the corporate of sector makes you come up against?
Oh, that is really great. Um, I would have to say one of the biggest challenges is dealing with the stigma of being the angry black woman.
Oh, if you're direct,
Um,
you're angry, huh?
yes, exactly. If you are direct, if you speak your mind, no matter how professional you may present yourself in appearance and in speech,
Hmm.
there tends to always be that little inkling in the back of the minds of the people, the powers that be, if you
Hmm.
will, if they are not people of color, that if you're not heard or if they don't at least take the time to listen to you, that you're going to be angry and blow up and, start cursing, neck rolling, eye
Hmm.
rolling,
Hmm.
etc. That is the greatest stigma that I deal with on a regular basis.
Mm, that's a tough one. And I
Mhm.
think most women of color, as we go, we're going to see how many of my young ladies that I interview are able to say that. I bet that a lot of people will identify with that point.
Yes.
People often speak of work-life balance. How do you reconcile the needs of your professional responsibilities versus your personal responsibilities?
That is, it's easier for me now than it was before. Because I am a caring person, and I always seem to find myself helping somebody.
Mm-hmm,
As a social worker and working with the homeless, it was really hard for me to have that balance,
mm-hmm,
to leave work at work and to focus on my family once I got home.
mm-hmm,
But now that I'm back in human resources, it's really easy for me to leave work at work,
mm-hmm.
um, and focus on my home. I can honestly say from the time that I walk out of the building, I am no longer thinking about work or any of the responsibilities that I have at work because I recognize that it will all still be there tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And for me to focus on my family, from the time I'm in my vehicle going home, heading home, I'm thinking about my family, my child and my husband and myself, and um, what we're going to do later on in the evening or the plans that we have for the weekend, etc.
Barry, you hit a really good point. It's two things that you said I want to kind of just make sure I take a minute with. One is that you said you were in social work and now you're in human resources. So that change probably, and you were working with veterans. That's a very uh, population with a lot of needs and it's heavy emotionally. And so you've taken you have a different type of role right now. Not to say you're still working with people, so it's still going to be stressful, but I'm guessing that probably that is one of the things that is helping you to leave it at work because you don't have the worries of people who are going through so much on you. And then also the fact that you've grown in wisdom and knowledge, and as we get seasoned along our journey,
Yes,
we have to pull out different tools. So it sounds like being in that situation and working for the veterans when you did maybe probably helped you with putting those things in place for this current opportunity.
precisely.
Okay. Have you ever been wait. Have you ever had the opportunity to be supported by a counselor or therapist in your life?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Tell me a little
I
bit
have
about that
been
if
to
you don't
therapy.
mind.
I've been to therapy twice. I've had two therapists in my life. One on the West Coast when I lived on the West Coast, and one here.
Mhm.
And I find it very, it sounds redundant, but
Mhm.
very therapeutic,
Mhm.
to go to therapy. It has really opened my eyes to who I am, and not just who I am now, but who I want to be,
Mhm.
the type of person that I would like to become.
Mhm.
And it has also helped me to heal some past hurt
Mhm.
and look at things from a completely different perspective than just the perspective that I was looking at things on my own.
Mhm.
So I find that therapy is very soothing,
Mhm.
very healing. And if you take the time to actually give it your all,
Mhm.
it can definitely help you.
Yeah, it sounds like you unpacked a lot and you processed a lot and you were able to submit yourself to that healing process. Why do you think that some women of color, just people in general, and this is a huge question. What do you think stops people from going on and seeking that help that's needed?
Oh, it's definitely family,
Mhm.
and ancestors.
Mhm.
Um, as people of color, we have gone through so much. Our ancestors have gone through so much, and
Mhm.
they did it all without the help of therapy or medication
Or
or anything
formal
like that.
helpers, right, right.
Correct.
We helped
And
each other,
so
but we kind of didn't
it
have
was
that part.
right,
Hmm.
exactly, because there wasn't any therapy available for our ancestors back in the day. It was like, whether your ancestors were slaves or um, enslaved or
Hmm.
land taken away from them,
Hmm.
genocide, whatever,
Hmm.
no matter what the struggle may have been,
That
our
wasn't a
ancestors got
luxury.
through it
Yeah. Hmm.
without the luxury of being able to take pills, to help get your mind right
Hmm.
or to help get you right or to talk to anybody um, that was degreed
Hmm.
about it to help get them through. So it was a whole thing of, well, my great grandmother did it without any help, and then my grandmother did it without any help, and my mother did it without any help. I should be able to do it without help also. So um, we're we're
Yeah.
commonly viewed as weak,
Hmm.
correct, or scared that we're
Didn't
going
want to
to
be
be
viewed
viewed
as
as
weak.
weak,
Right, right, right.
correct, if
And it's
we seek help.
and that's a funny thing, that it's like a catch-22, in that the generationally, what you just describing is generational trauma. We from
Yes,
historically, we are probably, because we have survived for so long, living through these things, and pulling ourselves up by the bootstrap, and just praying about it and keeping it moving. And now more than ever, especially with the climate that we're currently in, I do feel like this is the time where people of color really do need this type of support the most, because if you look at the millennials and how they even communicate with each other, social media is really big. But you say you have five good friends. I don't know that a whole lot of these young people really have the type of supports and friendships that we even had. And then going back to our ancestors, these women would get
right.
together and they would sit on the porch and snap peas, and they would, shuck corn, and they would have community activities, maybe even if it was work related, but they had a chance to unpack with somebody, you
I
know.
agree.
And I just don't know that our young people are having that at the moment. And so it does worry me. Um, but I digress. Okay, that's why I'm doing this, to shed light on the issue and have us start a community conversation. Um,
Mhm.
okay, so um, do you remember experiencing postpartum blues after the birth of? Yeah, the question is children, but do you have children, or just would you have children?
I have one child.
Okay.
I have a son.
Did you experience any postpartum depression or baby blues after the birth of your son?
I didn't. I was very fortunate to not have. I was so eager and excited to become a mother that I
Mm.
enjoyed my pregnancy thoroughly.
Mhm.
Um, and once my son was born, I knew that I had just dedicated my life to being his mother. And nothing else was more important to me. So I never experienced any postpartum
Mhm.
depression
Mhm.
um, at all during the first 2 years of his life or whatever.
Mhm. That's a blessing.
It
Um,
really is.
how do you talk to your friends or daughters or nieces? We don't have daughter friends, nieces, mentees. You might have a goddaughter, about body image.
Oh, that is a very good question. Um, you know what? I have learned so much. I have a niece that is a lot smarter than I was as a teenager. She's 16 now, but she's really her own person. She from the time she was like 12, she decided that she didn't want to be like other girls and show too much of her body.
Mhm.
So she, doesn't wear jeans that are very, very tight fitting. She doesn't like tight fitting shirts. Um, or dresses that show too much cleavage or anything like that.
Mhm.
And she says that that is her own personal choice. People can wear whatever it is that they want to wear, but she honestly felt like um, if you're wearing clothes like that, you're trying to seek attention.
Mhm.
And she's not an attention seeker. She said, if people are going to like me, they're going to like me because of my personality, not because of my clothes
Mhm.
or lack thereof. And she taught me something about body image and all of that, that as a 40-plus-year-old woman, I wish I would have known
Mhm.
when I was a teenager.
She sounds like a
Um,
very self-assured young lady.
she is. She is absolutely amazing, and super smart. So I found that a lot of people, a lot of the younger generation are just a lot smarter, I would say, than,
Wise,
we
wise little
were
old
as
souls. Yeah.
very, yes, some old souls. They're very aware of who they are. And I'm so proud of that generation for that, because
Yeah,
she's
that's
not
one
the
thing they do have.
only,
That's right. They have that. They
yes,
know
they have a
they know
lot of
who they
self
are and who they
awareness.
want to be. That's right.
Exactly. A lot of self awareness that I just find that our generation did not have
Mhm.
during that time.
Mhm.
We found out later, so it definitely got greater later for us.
Mhm.
But
I like that. Got greater later.
yes, it definitely did. But I don't really have to talk to my goddaughters or my nieces or anything like that really about body image, because they all are just very self-aware, and I like that.
Mhm.
I love that about their generation.
That's excellent. Okay, I've got two more questions for you, Miss Berry.
Okay.
How did or does your faith in God, what role does it play in your day-to-day life?
A huge role. I personally don't make any decision without praying about it first.
Mhm.
It can be a big decision, it can be a little decision, but the God that I serve, He
Mhm.
talks to me,
Mhm.
and He lets me know if I'm on the right path or if I'm not on the right path. And I found that if I seek His guidance first, I can never go wrong. Where I tend to go wrong is if I make decisions on my own
Mhm.
and do not consult Him first.
Mhm.
I find that things will not go the way I want it to go. I'm sure you've heard the saying, you want to hear God laugh, tell Him your plan.
Mhm. So man plans and
Because
God laughs. Yes.
that's right, exactly.
It's a funny thing,
So
Miss
I
Berry.
don't make any plans without
Yeah.
consulting my higher power first.
I think for people of color, when they are seeking a therapist out, they want to make sure that that person at least allows them that freedom and flexibility to express that spirituality, express their spirituality and the spiritual part of them. I have been with psychiatrists, been partnered with them in the past who I'm not gonna. They have a lack of awareness, is what I'll say, regarding like
Okay.
what you now how you just said. I talk to God and He talks to me. I would say
Yes.
that we say that in our community. That's not uncommon. That's
Yes,
not
we do.
uncommon in the Christian community for
Mm-mm.
But this doctor was from another faith and from another country. So coming here to
Mm.
practice, when he hears that, since he doesn't have that's not his experience, he always leans to the part of, okay, is this person hearing voices, are they delusional, when really it's just cultural.
Exactly.
And so I would tell my patients that when I was their therapist and he was their psychiatrist, and they would tell me, I would say, you might not want to tell him that way.
Right.
Because I
Exactly.
understand
Mhm.
it, but I don't want you to get the wrong diagnosis because he doesn't. So that's an
Yes.
interesting thing to kind of try to rectify. But
And
yes.
you know what? That
Hmm.
is wonderful that you give that advice, to your patients, because speaking on past experiences, I had a therapist when I lived on the West Coast that um, did not believe in any higher power,
Mhm.
and he could not understand it when I would tell him, I prayed last night and I feel so much better today.
Mhm.
Um, he did not understand that. He would say, well, why do you feel so much better? And certain things you can't explain. You
Mm-mm.
know what I'm saying?
Mm-mm.
But my therapist now is a woman of faith. She's Christian. And when I tell her that I have prayed about it and I feel so much better, her question usually to me is, what exactly did you pray for?
Mhm.
She
That's
wants to
that's a
know
more direct
what
and
it was
helpful
that I
question,
prayed about.
right? Then why do you feel
Exactly.
better? Right.
Yes,
And if that doctor,
exactly.
if those doctors that feel that way would just do a little bit more research, they would see that it's peer reviewed and research based, that it doesn't even matter what your faith is. If you do pray, the interfaith study that was on that some time ago, I think UNCC conducted a study back in 2000 that was, they were going in that direction, that when they applied prayer to anyone who had a chronic illness, especially cancer
Mhm.
patients, that if they just believed they would get better and they would pray, they would see in the trials they would do better with the drug they were giving them. They would do better with whatever course of treatment just for having the prayer.
Precisely.
So, I mean, it works whether they believe it or not. But anywho, I
That's
digress.
right.
Um, the thing I really want to get at, and this is the main crux of our whole, this whole beginning of these conversations, is what role, if any, do you feel that is the church's responsibility when addressing the members of the congregation and mental health?
Oh, that
That's a
is
heavy question, I
great.
know.
Yeah, but it's a great question. I never in any of the churches that I've ever belonged to since I was a child and now an adult mother, have I ever been to a church where they addressed mental health at
Mhm.
all,
Mhm.
um, whether you're a person of color or not.
Mhm.
Um, it in the church, it's mainly about praying,
Mhm.
making sure that
Pray and
your
it's gonna be all
relationship is
right.
right with God.
Mhm.
Praying, 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 praying. However, the Lord has invented doctors, has made some of us doctors, and there are medications out there that can help the mentally ill. And to pray isn't enough.
Mhm.
Speaking from personal experience, I have been diagnosed with PTSD.
Mhm.
I have been diagnosed with severe depression and severe anxiety. And I can tell you from trying to deal with it on my own, just from therapy and prayer, that wasn't enough. It
Mhm.
wasn't until I got on the right medication, the
Mhm.
right dosages of the medications, and the right medications for my diagnoses that I actually started to feel better. Things
Mhm.
were actually clear to me. I was able to go to therapy and actually get something from it,
Mhm.
um, versus just feeling like there is no light at the end of the tunnel. And I know that is due to me taking my medications, and I have never been told by a man of the cloth, a preacher, anything, oh, you need to see a psychiatrist, or
Mhm.
you may have schizophrenia, or you may have depression, and that there are medications or therapy, you can go to therapy or anything like that. So I think that the church should play a
Mhm.
bigger part
Mhm.
in it than they actually do.
Well, that's exactly what these conversations are designed to do, Miss Berry. We're hoping to move at least our Charlotte and North Carolina communities and church communities, interfaith communities in that direction. I know that
Yes.
there are a few ministries, handful that I know of here in Charlotte, that are starting to have wellness auxiliaries, wellness departments, and they're trying to address health and mental health issues. So I'm trying to kind of pull them together and start a forum. I'm hoping that in July we'll be able to, Art of Peace Wellness will be a host, along with, I believe, One Touch Psychological Services. A good friend of mine, Dr. Vanessa Bowles, and myself, Chantia Carter, are going to try to, no, not going to try, we're going to be hosting a African American mental health um, and Sacred Communities Forum for that. So July is Minority Mental Health Month, and we're gonna start these conversations, and then we're gonna help churches that don't, that would want this information and would want an auxiliary like this to start theirs and get all of the what they would need to encourage that, because we do want to pray. We don't want to go away from the wisdom of our ancestors and the practices that always help to sustain us, but we also want to seek therapy and psychiatry and whatever else wellness practices we can put in place to heal those generational wounds that are still there, and then the stressors that we encounter every day just being chocolate people in this vanilla country. So
Amen. I like that, vanilla.
I like to refer to people in flavors. It's just less.
Yes, yes,
Everybody likes flavors. Well,
absolutely.
thank you, Miss
Vanilla,
Berry.
chocolate, caramel.
Thank you, Miss Berry, for adding your flavor to our broadcast today, and for being brave and being the first to jump on in this. Your input and your contributions. There's not no amount of money I could pay you to thank you for what you've done today. And I'll keep
I
you
appreciate
informed,
you taking the time to listening to me.
and I
Thank you
may
very much.
call upon you again in July when we have the panel. So
That is fine. That would be a wonderful birthday present for me. My birthday is in July, so to be able to increase awareness about mental health to the world would be fabulous. I would really, really be honored to help
well, thank you,
in
Miss
any way
Berry.
that I can.
I hope you enjoy your evening, and we'll be in contact soon.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Carter. Have a wonderful